What's going on, guys? It's Drew and I'm back with a tutorial. I thought I'd do a little editing tutorial on how I do them. It's pretty simple. There's not much to it, to be honest. So let's get straight into it. Hopefully you shouldn't hear my keyboard too much. Hopefully I can get rid of most of the sound of keyboard and clicking, but I'm sorry if you can. But yeah, so let's get straight into it. So at the moment I'm using a DNG file because CR3 raw files don't quite work with the Lightroom version that I have, so I have to use a little thing called Adobe DNG converter. It's basically the same as having a raw file, it's just Adobe can read it, because yeah. Anyway, let's get straight into it. So here's my image. Up here we have our histogram. Currently it's not overexposed or underexposed, but I do want to get some of the highlights back from the white. So genuinely we'll end up dropping the highlights, but for the moment this was shot at 106 ISO at 105mm 7.1 f-stop and 160 of a second shutter speed. This is with my kit lens, so in terms of what's in focus isn't exactly what I would have wanted, because I'm not using my like 50mm or 35mm 1.8 1.4, so we're gonna try and make it a little bit more focused and a little bit more sharp slash. Now what I would normally do when I come to editing, I will go through my presets and all the other presets I have, and try and find one that I quite like the look of. So obviously some of these won't even work with it, but we're going to go with spring because that kind of already works quite nicely and it does make it look quite nice. And that on the left is the before and on the right is the after, so you know the difference that just makes. I mean, I could just leave it like that, but we are going to adjust it because I feel like it's a little bit too green. So we'll just have like a little play around with the settings. I kind of want it a little bit more blue. There we go. That looks a bit more nice. I don't know if that makes it look any different than it was. But yeah. So I'll down the exposure a little bit and I'll drop the highlights completely. That allows us to actually see the detail a little bit more. Obviously it's not that great, but my camera didn't quite get the focus right, I guess. So we're going to up the clarity just to give it a bit more definition and a bit more detail. Drop the haze a little bit. We're going to bring the saturations up a little bit. Do about 20, 25 on that. And then if we come down to here, so we've got a tone curve. Now I like to just have the shadows up a little bit so that they have a little bit of, you know, like sort of like that fadey look to it. So kind of keep it like that. It also helps, especially with like flowers and that, where you've really got the focus on just the flower. It gives it that nice dreamy sort of effect, I feel. So we can adjust these and just have a little play around. I feel like, oh shit. I feel like I might just leave that up like that. That might work. Yeah, I think I'll leave that like that. With all these can all stay the same as they are. So they're just a simple little S curve. And obviously we come down to these ones and we can adjust them as we want, but I don't think we will because they look pretty fine to me. They look absolutely fine. I might change the orange just to give them a little bit more orange to them and a bit more saturation. Now we ended up with quite a bit of red now, so we might just drop the saturations on that. We might also just adjust them to the more orangey side on the reds, so then they don't pop at you so much that it's distracting. So yeah, and then we come to here. Obviously we could go really orange, which is pretty, along with blue, so, but we're not gonna. We're just gonna adjust it ever so slightly, boost the saturation a little bit, come to the greens. Now obviously one side of the green will be really dark and green, other side will be kind of orangey, which as we're kind of going with more orange on the petals and stuff, we kind of want to keep that. So we're not going to go too far to the left, but we're just going to go a little bit, so like minus -20 or something. Is what we're going to go with. And then we come to aqua. Now that's only really going to do much to the sky, so we're going to go towards the more actual aqua color, and we're just going to lower the saturation and higher the thingies, just so then it's more white. So there's a bit of color there, but there's nothing that's going to really affect the quality of everything else. And then obviously you got your blues, which is the same again, which I think I might just bring the saturation a little bit up and up like that. And then obviously purples and that, they don't really do anything, so because they have the smallest sort of waveform anyway, we just get rid of them. Just, you don't need them. All right. Sharpening, I'll up the sharpen a little bit, and then everything else will pretty much keep the same. Oh, that looks kind of cool. I like just playing around and just seeing what I kind of like, but down in the calibration, you can play around with them. They're a good way to sort of get your colors to like how you want them to be. But yeah, this is kind of looking pretty nice now, actually. As I say that, I just... Oh. Teal and orange. Everyone loves a bit of teal and orange. What I tend to do now, especially with these, is what I'm going to go to the brush tool, which is just up here. Now, I will just kind of keep it on what it's on for the minute. And I'll make a really big brush. And what I'll do is I will just cover the entire of this image. It should show up red. So everything red is what's been brushed and adjusted, right? So that's the whole image covered. Now, if we drop the exposure a bit and just bring the shadows up a little bit and the highlights down, and we bring it a little bit more temperature wise to the colder side, just a little bit to give it a bit more blue. And what I'll also do is just drop the saturation and the clarity all the way down and the sharpness down as well. What I'll then do is I'll press Alt on Windows, and then it brings up the remove tool, which then I can just adjust the size with my scroll wheel on my mouse, and I just kind of paint over the bits that I want more to be actually just left alone. So I kind of want these bits, these little sections here. Just give them a little paint over, go and create a new brush. So I'll just exit off that one by pressing enter, and then I can create this brush, which I will then go pretty much over this, over the bits that I want to then bring out and make pop. So I'm not going to go crazy on it because most of the background is actually quite blurred anyway, so I don't really need to go massives that you won't notice much. It's only small bits of change, so just see what we've got highlighted. I might just do that branch. Now what we can do is we can bring the exposure up, and we'll bring the warmth just a little bit on that side, up the clarity a little bit, and up the sharpness. Now what this will allow us to have then, it's not a very good photo, is it? It's very out of focus, but compared to before, like that, the difference that obviously this then makes is you will notice a bit of a difference, but not massive, and that's all we're trying to do, is make subtle change to enhance the image and make them a little bit more appealing and attractive to the eye. I definitely feel like that was my my focus point for this photo. Oh no, that's terrible. But yes, and then we'll just like up the saturations and the whites a little bit to make them glow a little bit more and give it a little bit more contrast. Pretty much that is about roughly all I really would have done with this image. Now what I might do as well is just get a radial filter and pop it up the top, give it a good bit of spread, give the exposure up, well, not that much, and I will drop the haze. Now the haze will give me this glowy sort of flare sort of effect. So what I'll do is I'll bring it up and I'll really like stretch it out so it gives it that nice fade. Now I like to give that sort of like a warmth color. You can pick the color down here. Sometimes I do, depending on how much I feel like that color actually affects. And all I'm doing is just kind of creating like a glow from the sun to give it more of a dreamy effect. And then we'll do another one down here that's just sort of like our shadows. So we'll bring that like that, and then another one like that, so like that. So obviously that's then our before and after, which, oh shit, that's not what I wanted to do. Hello PC, my PC's dying, so there we are. So here we have the before and after. I will say I might adjust this bit down here because it's gone very blue and I'm not sure how blue. I think it might be because of, and then that's your before and after, and that is how I would normally go about editing one of my flower photos. And yeah, any questions, please drop them below on the Instagram post or on this YouTube video, and let me know what you guys want to see next. And yeah, thank you for watching. Peace out.